Well, as Republicans have been greeted by those angry protesters at town halls, many Democrats are now simply calling for all-out resistance to everything that President Trump touches.
We are going to dump Trump. Dump Trump.
As long as the president continues down this path, there is nothing Democrats can work with him on.
Let resistance plus persistence equal progress for our party and our country.
So that was the backdrop to yesterday's election of former Labor Secretary Tom Perez as chairman of the Democratic National Committee. Perez defeated the more progressive Representative Keith Ellison of Minnesota in a close race that was also closely watched. Many Ellison supporters made their displeasure clear when Donna Brazile, the outgoing chair, announced the results. Little did they know that Tom Perez was about to announce that Keith Ellison was going to be his deputy chair. Now, with the Democrats in their weakest position in almost 100 years, Perez's first job will be to unite the moderate and liberal wings of the party and then try to lead them out of the wilderness. Mr. Perez joins me now from Atlanta. Mr. Chairman, congratulations.
Thank you, Chuck. It's great to be with you.
All right, let me start with the fact that that was a pretty divided room. All intra-party elections can feel personal, can feel petty. But the fact of the matter is you do have a lot of Sanders supporters from the primary who were skeptical of the Clinton wing of the party and see you as nothing more than an extension of that. How do you unite this party without just simply making it an anti-Trump party as a way to unite it?
Well, I thought we had a great day yesterday, Chuck, and Deputy Chair Ellison and I, we were there together, we were united, and our unity is our greatest strength, and frankly, our unity is Donald Trump's greatest nightmare. He's already tweeting this morning about the election being rigged, and you know, frankly, he ought to be looking at the U.S. election last November through a special counsel. And what we saw yesterday, Chuck, not only in Atlanta, where the Democrats were gathered, but we saw up in Delaware great examples of how we are putting our activism into action. We had a special election there for the state Senate seat, and the state Senate hung in the balance. It was a tie. A lot of money was invested in that race by both sides, and we had 500 volunteers coming in. Our revolution, the DNC, grassroots activists, all coming together, and we won that race. That's the energy. The most frequent question I get is, how do we translate the energy into action? Yesterday was a great example, not only here in Atlanta, where Congressman Ellison and I and the entire family of Democrats came out very united, but in Delaware, we've got a race right here in Cobb County, Georgia for District 6, and we're going to do the same thing here. So I'm very excited about the road ahead. We need to make sure we're electing candidates from the school board to the Senate. And yesterday was the state Senate.
Let me show the hole that you're in as a party, and the hole which is surprising considering you had the White House for the last 8 years. Since 2008, here's the financial hole. The Republican National Committee has outraised the Democratic National Committee with Barack Obama as the President of the United States and head of the Democratic Party by over $200 million over that 8-year period. And then look at the results. You know them. A loss of 11 Senate seats over that time, 63 House seats, 12 governorships, and nearly 1,000 state legislative seats. I know you've been talking about this grassroots approach, but the fact is, this party got gutted while you had a Democrat in the White House.
Well, we have to rebuild our parties in the 50 states and the territories, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We also have to redefine our mission. We not only elect the President of the United States, but we elect people from the school board to the Senate and everywhere in between, governors, secretaries of state, treasurers, attorneys general. And it started yesterday in Delaware, and I'm very excited about that. And I think there's an acute understanding that where we fell short is that we didn't invest enough in those state parties. When we lead with our values and when we build that strong infrastructure, when we make house calls, when we're in every zip code, and I traveled 10 states over the last 5 days, Chuck, that's why my voice is scratchy. And I heard from rural America that the Democratic Party hasn't been there for us recently. We have to make sure we have an every zip code strategy. That's how we win. That's exactly what we're going to do. These investments in grassroots organizing, because our values are the right values, but we've got to put those values into action.
I want to actually put up a quote that Howard Dean used during his presidential campaign, and some would argue that his tenure as chair of the Democratic Party is perhaps one of the most successful tenures in the modern history of the party. But he said this as a candidate: "I still want to be the candidate for guys with Confederate flags in their pickup trucks." At the time, it was, "We can't beat George Bush unless we appeal to a broad cross-section of Democrats." Just replace Bush with Trump, and that quote could be active today, that you've lost touch, whether it's rural America, do you think you've lost touch culturally or economically or both?
Well, I think we have to underscore that economic message. In Ohio, I went out there, I talked to voters, and what they heard from Donald Trump is, "I'm going to bring your coal jobs back." That's a lie. But what they heard is that he felt their pain. What they heard from us was that, we vote for us because we're not him. And we have to make sure we're communicating our affirmative message. We stand for good wages. We stand for Social Security. We stand for retirement security. We brought this nation Medicare. The Republicans are trying to voucherize Medicare and privatize Social Security. Donald Trump wants to eliminate overtime pay for people. Donald Trump he doesn't care about raising the minimum wage. But we have to communicate these messages consistently in every zip code, because I learned in my trip across this country during this campaign that a lot of people do feel forgotten, and we will not allow that to happen. We will be in every zip code.
What is, though, you're out there, I think even the words impeachment was thrown around a lot during yesterday's Democratic gathering, and this idea of resistance, even Hillary Clinton calling now for resistance of the party. If that's the message, does that mean, is that a signal to the Senate and House Democrats, you can't work with President Trump no matter what he proposes? Well,
he hasn't proposed anything but chaos and carnage. I mean,
but he's talking about $1 trillion infrastructure proposal, something that Bernie Sanders has been talking about for a decade.
We've seen no evidence, Chuck, of anything constructive from this president. Hours into his presidency, he made it harder for first-time home buyers to buy a home. A few days later, he tried to make it harder for people to save for retirement. He nominates someone to head the Labor Department who wants to gut overtime pay. He is continually talking one way, but I judge people by their actions. Look at the ill-advised and frankly racist executive action against Muslims. He has governed from the far right in everything he's done.
Are you comfortable with the Democrats being known as the party of no now?
The Democrats are the party of opportunity and inclusion. We are going to communicate our message, whether it's through lawsuits, like the state attorneys general did to stop the Muslim ban, whether it's through actions yesterday at the polls in Delaware, and hopefully April in Congressional 6 right here in Georgia. And we're going to communicate that message that we are the party that lifts your wages. We are the party that preserves your health care. We are the party that's going to be fighting for middle-class security every single day and opportunity for everyone.
Tom Perez, I got to leave it there. Again, congratulations on your new positions. And we'll be watching and probably see you on this show again in the future. Thanks for coming on and sharing your views. Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.